guys, my name is Brandy, and if you are new here, I have partial paralysis. I am wheelchair bound. I was in a car accident at the age of 21. I am 35 years old now. And if you've been following for a little bit, I tend to talk about how my 20s was like a really dark time, and I'm so glad I'm not in my 20s anymore, and I made it through. And I've hinted a bit on some addiction and depression, but I've never really gone in depth on what exactly that looked like. Now I have no plan here, okay? So we're just gonna spitball some of the things I remember. It's easy for someone to say, man, it was such a bad time and it was so hard to get out, but what does that mean? What does that really entail? After my car accident and my hospital stay, I started physical therapy in the hospital, and that's when I really started to realize that I didn't have the use of my legs, right? And going home in the beginning was rough. They had me on a lot of pain medications in the hospital. They had me on 3 different kinds. Now, when I was released to go home, I was set home with 3 different kinds. However, one was only going to be for a little bit, and that was a patch I was on. And then the other 2, while following up with a pain specialist, and my surgeon was also a pain specialist, and he was amazing, okay? But I discovered really quickly with how I felt about my situation, and trying to come to terms with the fact I was realizing I was probably going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. For me, those pain medications weren't just to take away my physical pain, but my emotional pain as well. And I tied the 2 together very quickly. I did not know this at the time, but I was already addicted to the pain medication by the time I went home. And I didn't even realize. I know now, looking back, because I am more experienced around the subject. But I didn't realize at the time. It's tough, right, with the pain medications, because I needed them. I had 8 fractures in my back, some broken ribs, some head trauma. I just had emergency surgery where my surgeon put hardware the full length of my back and lots of screws, as well as a bracket. I needed them, okay? I had genuine physical pain, and a lot of it, not to mention from where my spinal cord was damaged, like the nerve pain going on, the sparks flying throughout my legs and my feet was another issue that was very painful. I was like, my legs were just like, it's like little fire ants, I would describe it, like crawling around in there just shooting sparks or whatever. However, I got a little too friendly with the pain medication. I got to a point as years went on and I was just sitting in my room. I would only leave, I moved back in with my parents, and I was sitting in my childhood bedroom day after day after day, year after year, only really going to my doctor's appointments and physical therapy and taking my pain medication. And that was my life for many years. Either getting sick because I ran out, and I was getting to the point where once I was running out of my medication, I was trying to find alternatives to keep it going. I hope we're catching the vibes here. So, and I was the type of person where, at the time, that I wasn't going to set myself up. Like, we're going to set this up, we're going to take this, and that is that. I wouldn't do that. However, my viewpoint on it was, I know doing this stuff is hurting me. I don't want to get demonetized, okay? I know doing this stuff is not good for me. I have to kind of word this in a sensitive manner, and could eliminate myself. And if it does that on its own with me doing it, I'm okay with that. That's genuinely how I feel. If I don't wake up the next morning off of me doing this, like I know it's hurting me. Was fine with that. However, I wouldn't actively set this one thing up to be like, this is it. This is the last one, right? I didn't care about myself. Okay, like myself, did not care. However, I still would think about my family, my parents losing me, my sister, um, close relatives, like what I would put, like I didn't want to put them through any more pain, but I was like so miserable and did not want to live as, I didn't want to be in a wheelchair. Like I could not accept it. And there was no way I could ever, like, you had me freaking crazy if you thought I could see some sort of life being happy in a wheelchair. Like, not for me. I was in such a negative headspace and you couldn't tell me anything. And to see my life today, I never would have thought. I never would have imagined. So, but let's get back. I had some sobriety in my 20s. I was very on and off, okay? There was at one point in time where I finally got so sick of being sick and I straight up asked for help. Because here's the thing with all that. Your family or whoever, friends, can try to get you help all that they want, okay? Because they want the best for you. Until you yourself are ready to get help and do the work, it's not going to happen. So it didn't get to a point where I was so sick. I was exhausted of fighting the detox, not to mention the other pains my body was going through just from my injuries, that I was like, I need help, like now. I need help now. And we found a nice little program in the city that I would, small commute, I don't know, like hour and a half, that I would go to that was very intense, like an IOP. I don't know, it went from inpatient to outpatient as you progress, but it was like a 9 months in total. And I did great in that program. I really did. I ended up staying sober for roughly 2.5 years. I went back to work at the job I was working at, the salon I was working at prior to the car accident. I wasn't doing hair, and that's okay, but I started as a receptionist and I'd shampoo if I could. And then I got promoted to manager after I showed some consistency, because she knew about what was going on with me, but she very much wanted to help me as well, my boss at the time. So that was great for a while. Like in the beginning, going back into work, my newly found sobriety, because I had convinced myself, that's a whole nother topic, that I needed these pain medication to live due to my injuries. And that simply was not the truth. Did I need them for a while until all of my surgeries had been completed? Putting in the hardware, removing the hardware, putting hardware to support the bracket. When the surgeries were complete, after some time after that, I could have weaned off the medication. But I was feeling good being back at work. However, after a couple of years of that, I was still living at home, okay? And if you can't tell, am a very independent person. Having to depend on so many people, like being an adult living in my parents' house, I wasn't making, I wasn't doing hair, so I wasn't having clients like I used to have, wasn't making the same type of money at the salon to be able to afford my own place, right? So I'm still living at home. Oh, and an important part, in that program I went through, I never healed. I never did enough work around, like some one-on-one work with a therapist about why I would use the medications and the other stuff in the first place. And until I was going to heal that core reason, the wheelchair, till I was going to heal that and accept myself for who I really was, the circle just kept going around. So I was good for like 2.5 years, and then around we went again. I fell off the wagon, I guess, as they say. I'm not a drinker, but with the meds and the other. And I went full force. I wasn't ever sick this time because I was always using. So that was heavy. I was into about 8 or 9 months of that, and then obviously people in my life noticed I was acting a little different. They knew. My loved ones knew. So I tried to go back to that same program that got me sober the first time, but I didn't want to be there. I was only there that time to make people I was tired of this, everyone around me. Nobody trusted me again, so I just went. So hopefully everybody could think I was doing good and just get off my back. Really, I did not want to be there second go around. So that was a big difference from the first time I went, where I very much wanted to be there. And so the second time did not work. It did not work whatsoever. And in fact, they had told me, like, hey, I think your case is a little higher than our level of whatever, that we can help you. Like, we really think that you need more care here. And they researched some facilities, like what are they called? Like residential facilities, that also took my insurance, and that was tough because none of them really fully took my insurance. But we found a residential facility in Texas, and I was on a plane like a week later, still just kind of going so people would stop talking to me rudely. But rightly so, right? And I say rudely, like, I know I'm a little lighthearted about things sometimes in a serious issue, but they wanted me to get help and do some work around the core issue of why I kept using in the first place, the wheelchair. Help me accept myself for who I was. So I did go to Texas, and I fought a bit. I gave people there a hard time for a while, not wanting to be there, threatening to go home. But I stuck it out. And once I was there, like a couple of weeks, like, I finally wanted to be there. I could see the light again. That place really helped me. And it's what I did after the residential facility. I still followed up with one-on-one therapy for months and months and months. I did a lot of meetings and was in the program, not as long as I should have been. And what I mean the program, like the AA, NA program meetings, that kind of thing. Then I did kind of distance myself from the meetings because I wanted to move on. I just wanted to move on with my life. I didn't want to be talking about addiction every day of my life. And for some, that works. For me, I didn't want to be reminded of all the time. As long as I was doing work around why I used in the first place, which was the wheelchair, and coming to accept and love myself again, I was healing. And I have been sober ever since. So it's been like 6 or 7 years that I've been sober now. So I thought it was only fair to give you guys like a piece of what my 20s was like, because I was always talking about it, but I never really went into much detail. Now, hopefully, Facebook or YouTube or wherever I post this doesn't shame my video. I don't know. I wanted to make this because if anybody is going through a similar situation, wheelchair or not, addiction in general is like one beast to get over. Something you always have to look out for. The moment I think I'm cured is the moment I need to be careful. So I never underestimate addiction whatsoever. And I have 2 kids that look up to me now, who are my entire world, and I am their entire world, and they need me. So I am very small in my circle of the people I associate with, and I do not put myself in compromising situations. There's some people that I love and I have a blast with, but I wouldn't hang out with them today. Doesn't mean I don't care for them, but I have to look out for myself and my family first. So that's what I do. All right, guys, so I hope this kind of shed some light on what I was talking about every time I refer to the dark time in my 20s. And really, this is just like a piece trying to give you like an overview, kind of a better understanding of what I mean when I may a bug just crawled on the ring light, and that's why I'm looking like that. Don't recognize him. Hey, buddy. Yeah, shed some light on what I mean when I refer to a dark time in my 20s. So if you have any questions for me or anything was confusing in the story, leave it in the comments below, or want to share a little bit about yourself. I love hearing when you guys share about yourself, and I get to learn more about you guys. So the bug just flew by. Okay. thank you for being here if you are still here. And until next time, bye guys.